Well, since we already talked about butter from US, Europe, and Pacific region, I think it's a good time to talk about butter from Asia. I want to talk about a butter brand that I have never heard of before I start the bad trip. Amul butter. Let's start from the first part about Amul butter. Is Amul the butter? It sounds like a very weird question at the first glance because if something is butter, how can you not know it's butter? If something is not butter, how can you not know it's not butter? But apparently there is more to it than meet the eye, so let's dig into that. So the answer to this question was extracted from Amazon's product page selling Amul's butter, which is very interesting because usually Google extract paths from an informational article. This is the first time I found extract answer from a product page. Here is the product description. Amul is synonymous with butter in India. Several generations of Indian customers have grown up with the taste of Amul butter for 6 decades. Utterly buttery delicious taste of Amul butter is a must on the breakfast table of almost every Indian household. So Amul is butter, without a doubt, and it's very famous in India. But why people even ask that question? Is that actually taste that different from the butter some people were used to? The next path will answer this question. So here's the next path. Why Amul butter is salty? The answer to this question was extracted from a very interesting article titled How Amul Become Utterly Buttery Delicious and Salty. This article published in 2007 by the Economic Times, which is an Indian newspaper headquartered in Mumbai, India. According to this very interesting article, people in India historically have problems storing the butter in a hot climate. As a result, they usually would heat the butter to boil away the water and precipitate the solid, making it a kind of purified butter called ghee. But then British arrived and the army felt that its battalion needed butter and set up military dairy farm across India. By 1930, the company called Polson had dominated the butter business. However, Polson's monopoly provoked a local farmer leader Shubhavandas K. Patel, I'm sorry if I pronounce it wrong, to organize the cooperative to compete with it, which would later become Amul. According to this article, unlike Polson, whose butter was usually made by still cream then processed to remove its odor, Amul only made their butter with fresh cream, milk cream to butter, all on the same day. However, people in India have become too used to the heavily salted and fermented butter that Polson produced, so they found Amul's butter taste flat and flavorless. So Amul had to come up with a solution and find it in a chemical additive called diacetyl that give it the required butter taste. They also had to increase salt and add coloring to give their white buffalo milk butter the yellowish color of cow's milk that people were used to. I used to wonder where can I get Amul butter. I tried to order it on Amazon but it never delivered. Then I realized it's always there in the Indian grocery store around my place. And it is actually made from buffalo milk, which is very interesting. And it actually tastes very different. I can tell what's the difference, just very different. To be honest, I like Amul's ghee better. It's really good. Hello everyone, this short video is part of the original What People Also Ask series in which I preach how to find useful information using Google's People Also Ask feature. Every week I made a video focusing on one specific entity with more in-depth content. You can watch the entire episode using the link in the description or the end card on the screen. You can also subscribe if you enjoy my content. Looking forward to seeing you. Bye!